Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. As very hot, humid and thundery conditions we've seen over the past few days are going to finally clear through the early parts of this upcoming working week, and it's going to be replaced by much colder north to northwesterly winds as Arctic air does make its first real appearance since probably May time. Temperatures will feel very cold and it will be below average, and there is even the risk for some areas in Scotland we could see the first frost of the autumn. Now, it's not too uncommon to see frosts in September, but after the very warm, humid conditions we've seen this past week, it is going to be a real shock to the system. It's not even going to be that dry either. There's going to be plenty of showers around and potentially longer spells of rain as well, as it is still a pretty unsettled air mass just coming in from the northwest instead of the south or east like it has done this week. As I said, we'll look at the details of that on the UKV, and then we'll look at the longer term prospects on the longer range models, where it does look like there is some hope for the second half of September, with potentially some warmer, drier, higher pressure starting to make a return. Again, uncertainty with that, but that is definitely appearing quite consistently within the models now. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, which you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see we've still got this big area of rain stretching across many western areas. It was slightly further westwards earlier today, but it is now transitioning further eastwards, and it is still really quite heavy along this frontal system. Now, this was originally thunderstorms across northern France. It headed through the south and the east overnight last night, Saturday into Sunday. It gave some really lively conditions through the early hours of the morning. Those thunderstorms faded away into this longer spell of precipitation that's really lingered through much of Sunday in the west. It is clearing now, but it has dumped a lot of rain over the course of Sunday, and some of the heaviest pulses have actually been outside of the yellow warning that has now expired. So I was a little bit surprised we didn't see that warning extended, as the latest models we saw yesterday did extend this rain slightly further northwards and westwards than models before that did, and that's why I thought that the northwest had been cut off and the far west of Wales. But as we'll see in a minute with the past 24-hour precipitation total, some areas outside of the warning zone have seen a lot of rain over the past 24 hours. Now, you could argue that it's not the accumulation of rain we've seen in other regions over the past 3 or 4 days where we've had some relentless heavy thundery rain, but still I'm surprised we hadn't seen that warning issue because of the relentlessness of this precipitation. Now, further eastwards, it is drier right now, as I'm recording this just before 9 p.m, but we have seen lots of hefty, thundery showers, especially through the afternoon, which are now fading away. Maybe there's still a line of storms here towards Lincoln, but most of the heavy rain now is across northern France, as this is where the centre of the low is, now clearing out to our east. You can see the whole low pressure system here with the outer bands of its weather fronts is now completely clearing. This cutoff low should head to our east, and then it opens the door to northwesterly winds. Now, do put on the temperatures, as said just before 9, you can see it's not been a terribly warm day today. Lots of cloud around and rain, of course, so temperatures haven't been abysmal because we still have warm air around, but it's been nowhere near as warm as it has been the past few days, especially in those areas across the Midlands and Northern England where it got up to the high 20s on Friday. We're not going to see any of that in the next week or so. Now, I do also want to have a look at the past 24-hour precipitation just to show you where we've seen those highest totals. As expected, we saw lots of thunderstorms in the south and the east, and again you can see where those yellow dots are. That's where we saw some really intense bursts of rain, not only last night, and that's widely last night, but also during today. You can see where the pop-up storms just to the north of London there, for much of Hertfordshire into Bedfordshire, out towards the west towards Reading, Oxford, Swindon, down towards Salisbury, and then across parts of Surrey and Kent down toward Tunbridge there, a real big yellow pulse. So looks like a pretty stationary storm there earlier. And then further westwards, you can see more darker greens and yellows. This is primarily for persistent rain. Still some yellow pulses here, indicating some torrential patches, especially here towards Shrewsbury, saw some very heavy rain. And also further north and westwards towards Liverpool, up towards Blackpool, Southport, Formby, all these areas seeing lots of rain today and weren't actually in the weather warning. So I'm surprised we didn't see it extended up here, as I said a few minutes ago. But further westwards, across Scotland, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, for once, seeing very little rain, while England and Wales get absolutely soaked. But it will be changing over the next few days as that wind does shift direction. Now, if you don't have any weather warnings in store anymore, they have expired. I'm surprised, especially where that western rain is. It's expired this early. Thought it could have been extended perhaps towards midnight. But regardless, it's now expired and we'll now head on to the UKV. You can see all those heavy thundery showers earlier now fading away, and that rain in the west starting to dissipate. The UKV has it dissipating very quickly throughout this evening and heading eastwards by midnight, really not much at all. Again, it'll be interesting to watch that because at the moment, at 9 p.m, it's still pretty lively, especially up towards the Lake District, the Peak District and northwestern areas. As we head through Monday, you can see it is a drier day, some showers around in the north and the west, and that wind direction is changing. It's a bit of a transition day on Monday, so it's not particularly cold, but it is turning fresher, and by Tuesday, northern areas are going to be much fresher, as you can see a much colder Atlantic, or North Atlantic, or even Arctic, depending what you want to call it this time of year, because it's not terribly cold, but its origins are directly from Greenland and the Arctic. You can see through Tuesday, rain and cloud in the south, but still hanging on to a bit of warmer air further northwards, much cooler, much more unsettled as that Arctic air moves in. And then for Wednesday, all areas are in that much fresher air, and the big notable thing is the snow line here has appeared, which just indicates that we've got snow falling on this chart. You can see it here for the Highlands of Scotland. Again, not unusual to see a bit of snow over the highest ground through September. Maybe a little bit more unusual being the first half of September, but not unusual at all for September. The unusual fact is the fact it's coming off such a warm week. Some of these regions were 25 degrees on Friday. By Wednesday morning, there could be some snow falling out of the sky. Again, no settling or anything like that, no issues, but it could be a little bit photogenic for a time if you do live over some higher hills. As we head through Wednesday, it's a much colder day for all and lots of heavy showers pushing in. This is kind of the April showers regime, but happening in September. We've got a much colder upper air temperatures, warm surface conditions, and as a result, we see some quite significant convection. That continues into Thursday, maybe less convection around, but still cold and unsettled with a few showers, but generally a bit of a dry theme. And then for Friday, more heavy persistent rain moving in from the west as we see another low starting to arrive. But that could be the sign of that wind direction shifting a bit more to a west or southwesterly. So yes, staying unsettled, but perhaps turning a little bit warmer. If you look at the upper air temperature, you can see it's still warm, and it will be warm through the rest of this evening into Monday for some southern and eastern areas. And you can see Monday into Tuesday is transitioning. Tuesday, though, much colder air mass moving in from the northwest, and it moves in for all by Wednesday. Wednesday looks like a really quite cold day. Same with Thursday, the -4 or -5 isotherm moving in for Scotland. That is very cold indeed for September. And you eventually see warmer air is appearing for Friday. So not lasting all too long, 3 or 4 days with this cold air. Unfortunately, the air mass will be warming up again back towards average by the end of the week into the weekend. Now, if we do have a look at those surface temperatures, you'll be able to see that it's going to take a significant hit over the coming days. Monday afternoon temperatures, not abysmal, but not anywhere near as good as it's been recently. 17, 18 degrees at best, more towards low double digits further northwards. Into Tuesday, much colder further northwards, maybe single digits for some areas of Scotland, maybe still touching 18 or 19 in the far southeast, but by Wednesday, all will be really quite cold. Highlands of Scotland could see a frost there, some blues appearing, and many areas mid to high single digits at best, so quite a cold start indeed to Wednesday. And you can see by the afternoon, not particularly warm at all. Many areas struggling to be 14 or 15 degrees, most likely will be the coldest day we've seen for many months, probably since spring, back in May time. If we do have a look at Thursday, very similar, maybe a frost in the north, and by the afternoon, again touching 13 to 15 degrees at best. And then into Friday, another very cold morning, maybe more widely cold through that period, maybe only 4 or 5 degrees, 3 degrees potentially, even for parts of England and Wales there. Friday afternoon temperatures maybe slightly higher as that air mass starts to shift to more of a westerly, 15 to maybe 16 or 17. So you can see it is going to warm up slightly towards the end of the week and probably will continue that momentum into the weekend, but definitely this working week is looking pretty cold indeed. There will be showers around, but it won't be washout, which is a positive. But yes, could be pretty freezing cold indeed, and again that doesn't even add the wind chill. These temperatures, as said, feel like temperatures will be quite a bit colder. Now if you head over to the GFS now and have a look at the longer term prospects, again you can see that cut-off low clearing to our east, those north to northwesterly winds arriving for much of this week, really quite potent. If this happened in the middle of winter, we would be talking about some very cold conditions coming straight from Greenland and Svalbard, and probably pretty widespread snow and frost. But of course, being early September, it is just going to bring a bit of a chill to the air, making us feel like we're in late autumn, not early autumn. You can see though, into the next weekend, we do see that wind direction shift to more of a westerly. High pressure does start to build in, but we still see some lows riding to the north. Right at the end of the run though, high pressure is trying to build in, but still coming up against a strong Atlantic, and actually does push up a southerly winds. Actually could turn very warm there, but would likely be unsettled because those lows keep trying to push in. You can see though, over the next few days, a very cold air mass moving in. If we look at the blue, the temperature deviation, dark blues appearing 8 to 10 degrees below average, and the potential equivalent temperature, look at that, really quite cold. As I said, the coldest air mass we've likely seen since May time. So yeah, very, very chilly. It's always going to happen through September and October, but it's just the fact that it's come off such a warm period this week, going from one extreme to the other. If we do look at the latest GM, again that cut-off low clears to our east. Again we see that north to northwesterly wind appearing, and then eventually gets cut off by westerly flow, staying unsettled but turning a bit milder. And then towards day 10, signs of high pressure extending from the Azores could start to be more of an influence. Again, we'll have to wait and see for the exact details on that. As I said, for the sort of short to medium term is looking cool and unsettled, but perhaps, as I said, tentative signs of more drier, higher pressure building in. And then finally, if we compare to the ECMWF, again, broadly very similar, northerly winds with that low, low pressure clearing to the east. Eventually, though, we go into more of a westerly flow for next weekend, but you can see remaining unsettled. Right at day 10, though, we do see some higher pressure building in. It's not a particularly organised area of high pressure, but high pressure nonetheless, and it is building with warm air masses. So actually, if we go towards the surface, wouldn't be surprised to see temperatures more likely in the mid to high teens, maybe even low 20s. Again, we're looking at midnight here, but if we were in the daytime, it probably wouldn't be too bad at all. So yeah, it could be very up and down over the next couple of weeks. Now, if you do have a look at the ensembles, you can see much colder this upcoming working week, around 8 degrees below average. Big dip there, but does recover quite quickly towards next weekend, and you can see it's remained reasonably unsettled, not massive, and back towards average. Yes, signs it could be more above average, but still it's pretty tentative at this stage. And then finally, we just compare to those ECMWF ensembles. You can see it's broadly very similar. Much colder this week, remaining unsettled for the foreseeable future, but not complete washout conditions, just lots of frequent but lower spikes, indicating just generally a showery outlook. And you can see longer range, more warmer runs appearing, and maybe some slight dips in those precipitation spikes, some drier little patches appearing. Again though, definitely nothing concrete, just tentative signs of something a bit warmer and drier. We'll have to wait and see exactly how it does play out over the next couple of weeks, but one thing we can say is it is going to be a pretty cold week this week with that northerly wind coming in. So if you are out and about, especially early in the morning or late at night, probably a good choice to bring a coat, maybe even a hat and gloves, considering some areas could be mid to low single digits at times. Those are winter sort of temperatures. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.